Good morning. Welcome to Chalice Unitarian Universalist Congregation. We are a community of diverse beliefs and experiences, nurturing the liberal religious spirit and united by our desire to grow in love and in service. Uh-oh. I thought my sound was off, but I hear me. Sorry about that. Whoever you are, whomever you love, whatever your life's journey, you are welcome here in the chapel with us and here online with us as well. Whether you gather with us every Sunday, once or twice a year, or are with us this morning for the first time, we are so glad you are here. I'm Reverend Sharon Wiley, Chalice's minister. Our worship musician this morning is our music director, Tim McKnight. Our song leader is Alice Dodd, and our worship assistant is Patty Carlisle. Our tech team is Tom Carlstrom and Dean Gadet. Alice Dodd and I have both passed a rapid test this morning, and so you will see us leading worship without our masks on, but I thank you for keeping your masks on. Welcome to this Sunday worship service. Welcome to those of you here in the chapel, and welcome to those of you watching live using Zoom. For those of you using Zoom, please notice on your Zoom menu, you have the chat button. Many of you have been helpfully using it already this morning, as well as saying hello to each other. You're welcome to use the chat box during the service. Just be sure that when you post that you've opened the little blue menu there to select everyone, so everyone can see what's being shared. If you only posted to the host, then I wouldn't see it when I had been looking at it just a few minutes ago. So I want to especially welcome those of you who are newcomers at Chalice this morning. Towards the end of the service online, there will be a link in the chat box for adding your name to our email list. If you're here in the room, we can get you a connection card to fill out to add your name to our email list. Our weekly email is the best way to get information about the many groups and activities we offer, many of which are still happening using Zoom, and many of which are starting to meet in person as well. So now, let's take a breath together.
I'm Judy Cavallo.
I'm Steve Schlesinger.
And we live on land stolen from the Payam-Quechan, now known as San Marcos.
My name is Dennis Brown, and I live on land stolen from the Payam-Quechan, now known as Murrieta.
My name is Dre Marsh, and I live on land stolen from the Kumeyaay and Payam-Quechan, now known as Escondido.
My name is Jeff Harlig. I live on land stolen from the Payam-Quechan. That area is now known as Vista.
I'm Debbie Street Idell. I live on land stolen from the Kumeyaay. It's now known as Scripps Ranch.
My name is Amaki Ayipa, and I live on land stolen from the Payam-Quechan, now known as San Marcos.
The words of our chalice lighting come from the Reverend Judith Quarles, she of blessed memory. At this hour, in small towns and big cities, in single rooms and ornate sanctuaries, many of our sibling Unitarian Universalist congregations are also lighting a flaming chalice. As we light our chalice today, let us remember that we are part of a great community of faith. May our dancing flame inspire us to fill our lives with the Unitarian Universalist ideals of love, justice, and truth. Patty Carlisle will light our chalice this morning. We're getting the hang of this. There we go. We want everyone to see. Blessings on all of us this morning. Our call to worship. At the end of one week, the beginning of the next, bring now your broken heart, your open heart, your whole heart. Set aside who you think you should be in favor of who you are. Let this be the time to bring who you are, your whole self, your broken self, your open self. Lay down your burdens now. Drink from the well now. Rest your weary soul now. Among we kindred spirits, fellow travelers, we who are also open and broken and whole. At the end of one week, the beginning of the next, come, let us worship together. You are invited to rise in body or spirit to join in singing. Our Sunday worship is the shared spiritual practice of our community, and we tend to the congregation during this time by sharing and honoring our joys and sorrows. Joys and sorrows will be spoken out loud here in the chapel, and then we will remove this part of the service from the recording that goes onto the YouTube channel, so you don't need to worry so much that will become part of something that's on YouTube. Those of you here in the chapel are invited to write your joys and sorrows onto candle cards, which we'll hand out just in a moment if you want one. And then for those of you online, you can share in the chat box and go ahead and post your name with your sharing to help signal that you want it shared here in the chapel for everyone to hear, just to make sure we have your permission for sharing. And we'll share those for everyone as well. So we have a few minutes of music to write down what you would like to share. If you would like to send me a confidential note about your joy or sorrow, or to make a prayer request, I ask that you email me, and my email address will be on the screen in just a moment. Our story is called From the Stars in the Sky to the Fish in the Sea, written by Chang Tom, illustrated by Wai-Yant Lee and Kai-Young Ching, and narrated by Heather Scholdice.
Once upon a time, in a little blue house on a hill on the edge of town, a baby was born. They were born when both the moon and the sun were in the sky, so the baby couldn't decide what to be. Boy or girl, bird or fish, cat or rabbit, tree or star. So the baby looked a little like everything. They looked very strange. All the same, the baby's mother gave her child a bath and rocked them in her arms. Your name, she said, is Mulan, and she sang a song that her own mother had sung to her long ago. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, From the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high. And I'll always be here, I'll be near standing by. And you know that I'll love you till the day that I die. And even though they still couldn't decide, the baby felt loved. Mulan grew up to be a strange, magical child who was always changing. They grew feathers and wings to fly with bluebirds in the mornings, scales and a tail to swim with fish in the afternoons, and fur and paws to play with puppies in the evenings. No matter how many things Mulan became, their mother always brought them back into the little blue house, gave them a bath, and tucked them into bed at the day's end. As the stars rose, she sang, "Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Mulan felt loved. One day, it was time for the child to go to school. They were so excited. They grew a tail of peacock feathers and a coat of tiger stripes. "Have fun," said Mulan's mother. But when they got to the school, the other students were either boys or girls. They had no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, not even any sparkles. No one invited Mulan to play. One little boy ran up to the child and asked, "What are you supposed to be?" Mulan didn't know how to answer. When they came home, their mother asked them how they liked school. "It's okay," said Mulan. "Did you make any friends?" "Not really," said Mulan. That night, Mulan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, "You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high, and I'll always be here, I'll be near standing by, and you know that I'll love you till the day that I die." And Mulan felt loved, but also worried. The next day, they wore a turtle shell and porcupine spines. No one pulled or poked Mulan, but the other children still pointed and whispered. "Did you make any friends today?" asked their mother. "Not really," said Mulan. That night, Mulan's mother tucked them into bed and sang, "Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Mulan felt loved, but they also felt sad. The next day, Mulan wore no feathers, no scales, no leaves, no fur, no fins, no shells, no spines, not even any sparkles. Mulan was invited to play baseball with the boys. No one pointed, whispered, laughed, or stared, but when Mulan joined the little girls playing hopscotch. "Boys don't play hopscotch," said a little girl. "Are you a boy or a girl anyway?" asked a little boy. "Didn't you have a shell the other day?" asked a little girl, "and feathers the day before?" "What are you supposed to be?" said several children at once. "I don't know," Mulan shouted, and galloped out of the playground on horse's hooves, swam through the stream with a fish's tail, and soared up the hill on an eagle's wings. "How was school?" asked Mulan's mother. "I wore feathers and stripes so that the other kids would think I was beautiful, but they thought I was weird. And then I wore a shell and spines so that no one would pull or poke me, but they wouldn't talk to me. And then I tried to be just like everyone else, but I haven't made any friends. I can't decide what to be. Why do I have to be just one thing?" "It isn't always easy to be different from everyone else," said their mother. "But you can only be who you are." "What if the other children don't like who I am?" sniffled Mulan. Their mother smiled sadly. "I don't know," she admitted, "but I do know this. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, from the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea." And Mulan felt loved. That night, they slept a deep sleep. The next day, Mulan wore fur, feathers, scales, leaves, and many sparkles that glittered like stars. For a moment, none of the other children spoke. Then a little girl said, "You can fly? That's so cool." "I like your sparkles," said a little boy. "I'm sorry I pulled your feathers," said the boy with red hair. "I was a little jealous of them." Mulan asked, "Does anyone want to play with me?" They showed the other children how to gallop like horses, climb like monkeys, and swim like fish. It was fun to be many different things. And the child of fur, feathers, scales, leaves, and sparkles, who was neither boy nor girl, but many things and always changing, felt happy. In the little blue house on the hill on the edge of town, Mulan's mother smiled and sang the song her mother had sung to her once upon a time. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be. From the stars in the sky to the fish in the sea. You can crawl like a crab or with feathers fly high. And I'll always be here. I'll be near standing by. And you know that I'll love you till the day that I die. Whatever you dream of, I believe you can be, for you are my child, courageous and free.
Do not try and bend the spoon. That's impossible. Instead, only try to realize the truth.
What truth?
There is no spoon.
There is no spoon?
Then you'll see that it is not the spoon that bends, it is only yourself.
The Oracle will see you now.
Thursday is International Transgender Day of Visibility, an invitation to celebrate transgender people and to raise awareness of the discrimination they face. So first, some vocabulary to make sure we're all on the same page. Transgender is a term that has been in use for a long time, but has recently come to be used as an umbrella term to refer to all people who identify themselves as transgressing dominant conceptions of gender. The term is evolving, and you'll also commonly hear the term just as trans. Transgender and trans, as I understand them, are adjectives, not nouns. So the correct usage is that someone is a transgender person, a transgender man, transgender woman, not transgendered, also not a transgender. So if you are not transgender, then you are cisgender. That's CIS, cisgender, a term that describes people who are not trans or gender variant. So in other words, those whose gender identities, presentations, and behavior match the sex that they were assigned at birth. So I am cisgender because I identify as female and I was assigned female when I was born. This language matters because we don't want your choices of gender identity to be transgender and an unspoken, invisible, unnamed normal, right? That sends a message that there's something wrong with being transgender, and there's nothing wrong with being transgender. So the prefix cis means on the same side, so matching. Somewhere along the way, we started to hear more and more about people wanting to be clear about what pronouns they and we use. So here on our Chalice campus, we have pronoun stickers that you can add to your name tag to be clear about what pronouns you would like people to use when referring to you. And so there are, I think, 4 different choices. There are stickers for she and hers, he and his, they and theirs. And then there's also one that's blank for you to write in your pronoun in case you too defy these categories. It has become a welcoming and inclusive practice when introducing ourselves to say what pronouns we use. On Zoom, it has become a standard practice to include your pronouns typed in with your name. And in fact, for some accounts, it's actually part of Zoom's. Zoom will do that for you automatically when you enter it into your profile. So I'm Sharon, and my pronouns are she, her, hers. So some information about etiquette, because transgender people face a lot of really rude questions and behavior. It is not okay to ask transgender people about their genitals or their hormones or surgery or anything like that. That's none of your business. Because it's actually not okay to ask anyone about their genitals or their hormones, or if they're going to have surgery, or if they had surgery. If you want to ask a polite question, you can ask, what pronouns do you use? That's a polite question, and you should be prepared to share your pronouns as well. It's not okay to ask someone what their name used to be or what name they were born with. That's actually a very hurtful question. Calling a transgender person by a name they no longer use is called dead naming. When people choose a new name for themselves, that means something. They're claiming an identity. These seem so obvious, right? Call people by the name they tell you, use the pronouns they tell you, and if you make a mistake, just apologize and try again. It's okay to make mistakes. What's not okay is to ignore what people are telling you about how they want to be treated and referred to, and the language they use to refer to themselves. Again, these are just matters of etiquette, not hidden knowledge that's hard to know. This is about being polite. And then there's a wide variety of language that's evolving and maybe new to many of us, language that is helping to break down and complexify and enrich our traditional understandings of what's called the gender binary, that male, female, one or the other. And if you don't feel like you fit neatly into one of those categories, well, historically, traditionally, you're supposed to make yourself fit into a category. That's what's being challenged and broken down. We heard in our story just now how hard it can be, how limiting it can feel to be forced to choose a category instead of just being yourself. Some other terms we might hear people using to describe themselves include non-binary, genderqueer, gender fluid, two-spirit, intersex, agender, bigender, polygender, transsexual, and more. These terms all mean different things and reflect some of the ways that people are experiencing gender identities that don't fit into simple categories. I find the disintegration of gender categories to be wonderful. Why should any of us be defined and limited by what culture has decided that gender means? Why should any of us be defined and limited by anything, actually? The movie clip you just saw is from the movie The Matrix. It came out in 1999 and is considered one of the greatest science fiction films of all time. In the film, we learn that what we think is reality, like this right now, is actually a computer simulation that it's not real. And for some people who can see that truth and break free of the simulation, they become free from the limits of the simulation. In the clip you saw, a young child appears to bend a spoon with their mind. But as they tell Neo, the man they spoke with in the clip, actually bending the spoon is impossible. Instead, you need to try and realize the truth that there is no spoon. In the world of the film, reality isn't real, and the spoon we saw bend doesn't really exist. This is how I think of gender. The categories of male and female, the ideas that men do some kinds of activities, wear certain kinds of clothes, behave in some kind of way that only men do, while women have a different set of activities, must wear a different particular set of clothes, and behave in some feminine way that only women can or should behave. These are made up ideas. This is not to say that masculinity and femininity don't exist. We could all describe the categories of masculine and feminine and what these look like and what are the behaviors and how each of us here in the room fits or plays with those categories. Then the truth is that anyone can be masculine or feminine or neither or both or some of this and some of that. Yet there is no spoon. It's no coincidence that the imaginative world of the Matrix films, and of course there were sequels, was created, written, and directed by a pair of siblings who later became transgender women, Lana and Lily Wachowski. Speaking about the film's connection to transgender liberation, Lily Wachowski has said, "The Matrix stuff was all about the desire for transformation. I don't know how present my transness was in the background of my brain as we were writing The Matrix, but it all came from the same sort of fire that I'm talking about." People have not been fitting neatly into the gender binary of male and female for millennia. A quick Google search brings up information going back to ancient times in a wide variety of cultures. It is not at all unusual for people to identify with a sex or gender that they were not assigned at birth. It's estimated right now that 0.6% of adults, so less than 1%, in the United States identify as transgender. That's almost 2 million people. And I expect that that number will increase as we see less and less stigma around being transgender. The percentages tend to be higher the younger people are, because our younger generations have less stigma and fear around defying these categories. The last decade has seen a burgeoning in cultural awareness of transgender issues. In 2013, gender identity disorder was removed from the diagnostic manual for mental illness, a huge milestone, so important. In 2015, President Barack Obama included transgender people in his State of the Union address in reference to American values and the defense of human dignity. On June 30th, 2016, the United States Department of Defense repealed regulations banning transgender service members. The ban was reinstated by the Trump administration and then rescinded again last year by President Biden. And last year, President Biden became the first American president to issue a formal presidential proclamation recognizing Transgender Day of Visibility. As awareness and visibility of trans people and their civil liberties have increased in recent years, so too have attacks. Transgender people face discrimination in employment, housing, and just public places, including restrooms. There are challenges obtaining access to healthcare and obstacles to changing the gender marker on identification documents and obtaining legal name changes. The rights of transgender people in prison, jail, and detention facilities need protecting, as well as the rights of trans and gender nonconforming students to be treated with respect at school. Also under attack are the rights of transgender parents. There's an important role for cisgender people to play in being vocal and visible supporters of rights and protections for transgender people. I hope that each of us here will do what we can to help protect the civil liberties of everyone who doesn't fit neatly into a gender category. May it be so. You're invited to rise and join in singing. Be seated. The Sunday offering is an expression of the generosity that makes our congregational life possible. As Buddhist teacher Joseph Goldstein has said, it's important to understand that generosity is a practice. It's not just a single event. It's a quality in our hearts and minds that we can develop and cultivate. You're invited to text your donation to Chalice. If you haven't texted a donation before, know that once you text the amount, you'll get a reply with a link to follow to enter your credit card information. And if you've already entered that information previously when you've donated, you won't need to enter it again. If your Sunday donation is part of your pledge payment, please be sure to indicate the word pledge after the dollar amount. And also know that you can make a text donation anytime. It doesn't need to be only during this worship time. So the phone number will be on screen in just a moment. Please give generously. please join in dedicating our offering with words of affirmation. As Unitarian Universalists, we gather to affirm and promote acceptance of one another and encouragement to spiritual growth in our congregations.
Every day is so wonderful, then suddenly it's hard to breathe. Now and then I get insecure from all the pain. I'm so ashamed. I am beautiful no matter what they say. Words can't bring me down. I am beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring me down. So don't you bring me down today. To all your friends, you're delirious, so consumed in all your doom, trying hard to fill the emptiness. The piece is gone, left the puzzle undone. Is that the way it is? You are beautiful, no matter what they say. Words can't bring you down, 'cause you are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring you down. Oh no, so don't you bring me down today. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. And people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful as you feel. I have often asked myself the reason for the sadness in a world where tears are just a lullaby. If there's any answer, maybe love can end the madness. Maybe not, oh, but we can only try. You've got to get up every morning with a smile on your face and show the world all the love in your heart. The people gonna treat you better. You're gonna find, yes you will, that you're beautiful. You're beautiful. You're beautiful as you feel, 'cause we are beautiful no matter what they say. Yes, words won't bring us down. We are beautiful in every single way. Yes, words can't bring us down. Oh no, so don't you bring us down today. You've got to get up every morning and say, don't you bring me down today. You're as beautiful as you feel. You're so beautiful.
This reading comes from the Reverend Mr. Barb Grieve. It was written for Trans Day of Visibility. Blessed are the trailblazers who brought us this far and are still trailblazing, still celebrating. Blessed are the drag kings and queens who remind us not to take life too seriously. Blessed are the gender benders, non-binary, gender fluid, and third gender folk, those who challenge us to reframe our gender paradigm. Blessed are the young ones who present fearlessly from the start. Blessed are their parents who make space for freedom and love their children fiercely. Blessed are the siblings and relatives who educate, support, and love us as we are. Blessed are the genderqueer youth who are struggling and persist. Blessed are the 90-year-olds just coming out and those who have been out for decades. Blessed are those whose lives were cut too short. May their stories live on through us. Blessed are the survivors. May they keep on living. Blessed are the allies learning to be accomplices, and blessed are those gathered here today, witnessing, learning, celebrating. May we all commit to continue showing up, fighting for justice, celebrating all the genders in life. Amen, and blessed be. You're invited to rise again to join in singing.